Bum, 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 bow, wow, wow, boopity doopy doo doo. Do I forgot to check my audio? It looks really good. Do 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 do. That looks pretty dope. Do 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 do. I'm looking over here. I'm looking over there. I'm looking over here. And where's my son? We're gonna start with the. We have an early bedtime today, so I gotta show off the kiddo early. Oh my god. Okay, my office is full of equipment because I'm doing a lot of shooting this week. Ah, look at this man. Look at this man. Say hi. Here, I'm going to put the screen over here so you can have a good angle of view. Hi. What do you think of Halloween Ends?
Hi.
Is that what you think of Halloween Ends?
Mm-hmm.
Hi. Okay. That's the review from our little critic. Hi.
Do you like Halloween?
Uh-huh. Oh, hi. Oh.
You're old?
No.
Oh, Olive. Oh, you're telling them your name? That's bad. This is the internet. That's no good. That's no good. You shouldn't be doing that. That's bad. That's bad times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you agree. All right.
I need I need
You doubling down?
I need
All right. Monkey Man Bob says, "Good evening, Keenan son from the UK. Can you say hi, Monkey Man Bob?"
Hi, Mommy, Baba.
Good job. Good job, buddy. All right. Okay. We've outlived our usefulness. You are the Corey of this live stream. So let's. Oh my God. Oh my God. He's bouncing on my leg. Okay. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus. Oh my goodness. Ow. Ow. Okay. Go back. Go with Mama. Go with Mama.
You got some dinner?
Bye,
Bye, friends.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Bye. All right. So let's talk about Halloween Ends, a film that is, a little contentious. There's a lot of people who really liked it, and there's a decent number of people who were not fans of Halloween Ends. Me personally, if you follow my Twitter account, I liked it quite a bit. I actually think that Halloween Ends is a pretty solid conclusion to this trilogy. I have my qualms here and there, but nothing too big. So if you want this to be like, if for some reason you missed the fucking title and you're like, maybe there's no spoilers in this, we're gonna get into spoilers. But for those of you who want to bail out now and watch the movie for yourself, I thought it was really good. It might even be great. I think it might be a little too flawed to really qualify, in my opinion, as great, but I would say really good. My son is being so loud. That's okay. So yeah, I think really good. I thought that again, I'm going to go spoiler free for just a minute. The central conflict was really interesting. The way that it handled trauma was really, it's on the nose, but not as on the nose as Halloween Kills. And I think that I think that when you're dealing with a central theme, it's okay to be a little ham with it. I just think it went a little too far in Halloween Kills. I think here it's kind of a nice balance. That said, if you're just in it for the kills, I think Halloween Kills is the better movie, I guess. It's my least favorite of the trilogy by a hefty margin. I do really want to. Okay, Chris, I hope you enjoy it, man. Let me know what you think. Give me a little comment after you've seen the movie and let me know what you think. Let's see. And I will be responding to chats, by the way. I'm just going to get through some initial thoughts first, and then I'll look at chats. I really only want to do this for like an hour, so I'm going to try to utilize my time as best as I can. I really like Corey. I forgot his name already. Rohan, whatever the fuck. I really can't wait to see him in more movies. He has a pretty small career so far, so that's exciting to see a talent on the rise. Hopefully the backlash doesn't hurt him too much as far as his career goes. I think David Gordon Green did a great job directing. I am not huge on the third act. I don't think it's bad per se, but it's a bit too much Halloween Kills in my Halloween Ends for my taste. And I think that from a cinematography standpoint, it's great. The sound design was really fun. I thought the sound design, it kind of reminded me, and this could be the same. I watched it in IMAX, so you kind of, I got more than when I saw like Halloween Kills as far as the sound experience, but it reminded me of Stranger Things, this past season, how everything is just like ratcheted up, and I like that. I think that's really great. It does add a certain modern effect, I think, that some people might not jive with. I saw a few people saying that the cinematography was bad. I don't understand what that means in this context because I think it's really well done. But I think what they mean is that it's a bit too modern. I think when a lot of people go into these movies, they expect like Dean Cundy's cinematography, and while that would be great, I don't. I think that we're in. It's 2022. Like you're gonna have a different style. I think that this works. This is kind of like it's a nice fine balancing act between kind of overly kind of big budget cinematography, that kind of like studio lighting that makes you feel like you're watching a movie, against the more like grittiness that I think people are wanting or expecting. I think it's just right where it needs to be. Not perfect, but it's not the worst. I think I like Jamie Lee Curtis in this. I'm not a big fan of the Laurie Strode character, like past the first two movies. I don't really care. I'm not the kind of person that really salivates over Final Girls and like their legacy. I don't really give a shit. And similarly, I don't really salivate over like the legacy of Killers. There is certainly something to be said about completely, going completely off course and ruining, like, I don't know, there's a certain like there's a point where you go from this general zone of what a character can and should be based on that initial premise, and you go a little too far off in one direction or another. I think like Halloween 6 is a great example of like, what the fuck you doing, guys? So stuff like that I think is maybe ruining the legacy. But I also am not going to be putting this up on a pedestal. Like, he's Michael Myers. He's some old fucking serial killer. Fucking let him die. I don't give a shit. Which might have been a bit of a spoiler. Oh well, whatever. We're in full spoilers now. So if you don't want spoilers for the movie, fuck right off. This is adult time. We're gonna be talking about Halloween Ends, full spoilers. I do want to address one thing. I have a few little notes I typed up. I didn't want to go too far because again, I don't have a ton of time in my day. But there's the thing with and I saw this a few times, but there's a lot of people. I think there's a lot of literalists in the horror community. I think that you have sort of a few different zones within your horror community, and there is that zone, and a lot of this is on like the Joe Bob Facebook group. If you've ever been part of that, I saw a lot of this there. And then there's another horror movie group on Facebook that for some reason I'm a member of. That a lot of people were saying this, but it's taking what happens in a horror movie and taking it as literally as possible, and that is most like apparent or annoying in the case of the sewer sequence. So basically what happens is Corey, he gets thrown over that bridge by the band kids, which I think is a fucking great touch, by the way, because nerds are bullies. And he's thrown over the bridge, and then he winds up getting dragged into the sewer by Michael Myers. And he is on his way out. I don't remember exactly. I think he notices something. It doesn't matter. But he gets like in the trailer, gets choked by Michael, and then he's let go and he gets to escape. And right before he's let go, you get that flash of images. And I actually, even though I've only watched the movie once, I did go back and I watched just that bit. And everything you see in that is either a close-up of Michael Myers' mask in the sewer, like just that shot, or it is some trauma that Corey has experienced in the film. So you have the bullies, you have, I don't know if his mom shows up in that flash. If not, that's a missed opportunity. But you see the bullies, and you see the death of, I think the kid's name is Jeremy at the start. You see flashes of all that happening. And a lot of people take this and what happens beyond this point as Michael Myers possessing Corey. And y'all, that's dumb. That's a dumb way to interpret that. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So Michael doesn't possess Corey, at least as far as I read it. I could be the dumb one here. Maybe David Gordon Green will come up with an interview and be like, "Yo, that Michael Caine guy is a real fucking moron. He doesn't know what the fuck I intended to do. He was 100% possessing Corey." But I don't think that's the case. I have a strong belief that is not the case. He doesn't possess Corey. That's just Corey's point of view. You see two shots kind of going closer and closer to our two characters, Michael, Corey, Michael, Corey, Michael, Corey, boom, 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 boom. And then you see the flash, and then he lets him go. And so there's two questions. One is who's flash, like who's experiencing that flash, and that's 100% Corey, because you're seeing his memories. There's this idea that it's Michael like reading his mind. No, come on. Like, just the very premise of this trilogy is that Michael Myers is just some guy who represents evil. And, he does get a little supernatural at the end of Kills, which is not something I'm a big fan of, but it's all within a certain sphere of believability. And at this point, like the way I look at Kills ending is that he basically has this like rush of adrenaline, kind of pushed by all the trauma that he represents, and goes on a little killing spree, fucks off to die. And then I guess eats rats or something. Who cares? So the other question is, why does he let Corey go? Wait a second. Didn't the flashback with the dad happen before the sewer possession? I honestly don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. I would have to go back and watch the movie. But this actually ties in. I'm glad you asked that question, because it does tie in a little bit. So the other question is, why does he let Corey go? And I just take that as one of two things. It's actually, I can't really settle on one. I think it's just because he's old. We see that Michael Myers is pretty fucking weak when Corey lures the police officer in. So it's obvious that he is not like at his fighting best. And he's never at his fighting best at any point throughout this. He briefly kind of has a peak when he's killing the nurse, but he's really never at his peak in this movie. So I took it as just he's old as shit. The other possibility is, and this is what I took it, this is how I took it in the moment, so I understand how there is that leap to more insane possibilities. But I took it as, or in the moment, I took it as, this is him. Ace, come on, man. Ace, come on. Let's not yell while Daddy's making a point. Ace, Daddy's making a point. Shut your freaking mouth. Daddy's making a point. Shut your doggo mouth. Thank you. But I took it as him recognizing this killer instinct within Corey. Like, he's recognized, and I think this is how a lot of people took it. I think this is the majority opinion. I could be wrong. But he's recognizing that Corey has this quote unquote evil in him. And of course, when people say evil, they're really talking about trauma. That's what this whole franchise, this whole trilogy is really about, is trauma. Which we can have a whole separate conversation about text as, or subtext as text, which does kind of bother me. But anyway, so as far as the flashback with the dad, if it does happen before the sewer possession, again, I don't remember. That doesn't really affect this theory or whatever, because at the end of the day, he's dealing with like him meeting. Let me read my notes here, because I wrote it out pretty well. This is like the one thing I wrote like full on. So that's Corey's point of view. Possibly all the worst moments flashing before his eyes happen right there. The writers in Kills gave Myers power through their belief that he is evil. So that's kind of what this is. Corey is doing a similar, subconscious push toward more animalistic instincts. This brush with death, a literal avatar for trauma, Michael Myers, is what takes all that other trauma, the accidental killing of Jeremy, the abuse from his mother, the bullying, and that sense of being a pariah, and sends him into a new phase, just like Tommy and all those people who killed an innocent man in the hospital, effectively killed an innocent man in the hospital, in Halloween Kills, and then went after Michael Myers and, got their asses handed to them. This is all, it's a progression. And at this point, when he's, he sees Michael Myers and almost dies, that's his like final breaking point. And that trauma is showing itself prior to that. And we see him like in the bar sequence, there's him like with the bullies. You see that bubbling to the surface. And then, we finally get to that point where it all kind of like, you know, you open the, I'm not good at sewage metaphors, but it's kind of, you're opening the lines and letting all that built up debris and water through. However that fucking, you know, make that sound good. Which makes sense because Michael Myers is in the sewer. So, you know, this is why I don't understand people saying it like ignores Halloween Kills. That's another criticism I keep seeing. And, you know, like I wouldn't mind more ignoring of Kills. I didn't like Kills, as I've noted, but this thing absolutely continues from that point in a very natural fashion. I just want to point that out because it seems like, again, that's something that people are caught on, is like, well, it just ignores the previous two movies. No, it is a literal, it's, you know, this is like, this is an epitaph. Like, these two movies are an epitaph for the trilogy and for the series. Halloween 2018 is effectively where things end. Like, you could stop at 2018. They burn Michael Myers alive. He's just some guy. That's it. That's done. And you can just think of these two as an extended epitaph. Like, he probably was going to die in a few weeks anyway, probably, like, or something. Who gives a shit? And this is just us exploring trauma through Michael Myers, which I think is fine. Let's see. Let me go back to chat real quick. Lori spends 40 years in solitude after Michael killed only a few peeps in 1978, but then fast forward a few years and she's totally fine with being out in the open after he kills 40 people in one night, and they never found his body after kills. LOL. I don't have a problem with that because, again, we're dealing with, and there is a certain level of like ignoring little plot issues in favor of exploring themes, which I'm not entirely in favor of, but I also do with so many movies already that I'm willing to do it with Halloween. You know, the trauma that you experience in life will always be out there in some form. Like, let's say that, you know, you do like have a run-in with a serial killer, and let's say that serial killer is killed like in front of your eyes. Like, maybe you kill him yourself. He's caught and put in the, you know, the chair, whatever. That trauma that you experience is still going to show up. You know, if that killer wore a mask and you see that mask in the Halloween store, you're going to like be dealing directly with that trauma, because that trauma never goes away. You can't just kill trauma, aka evil. It's always going to exist, and it's always going to take various different forms. And so Laurie in Halloween, or I guess between Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, because that's one of the, like, I do have criticisms, and one is I don't really feel like there is a point there, like, I feel like there is a bridge missing between the two, but also by pushing it 4 years into the future, they're kind of asking the audience to kind of build the bridge themselves. Like, at some point in this, Laurie pushes past that idea that she's important. And I think that, I mean, Halloween Kills, and I only watched it the one time, so this is me based purely on memory from a year ago. Halloween Kills deals with the idea that Laurie, you know, had this concept that she was like the one, basically. And then that concept is obliterated along with all those fucking Haddonfield people. Because the reality is that, you know, you can't just, you know, you can't, I don't know how to really word this. You can't put it on yourself as the like central character in life. Like, life happens, basically. I don't really have a good way of putting that. I'm sorry. But anyway, so in Halloween Ends, she has gotten over that, and she's saying, okay, the trauma's out there still in some way, shape, or form, and I'm going to not let it affect me anymore. I'm going to keep going. And that's what she tries to do. And, you know, you can tell that she's still kind of learned from her experiences. You know, like her recognizing that evil, quote unquote, in Corey is her, you know, kind of taking all that knowledge or experience with trauma and saying, okay, I know exactly what this is. I'm not going to let this happen to my daughter. So I don't have a problem with her like kind of saying fuck it, because she still is on guard to some degree in so much as she uses that knowledge, but she's not letting it contain her. I do find it dumb that everyone stays in Haddonfield. Like they do pay some lip service to it, and of course it is the arc for Allison's character. But that's like a thing you kind of deal with any slasher movie almost that has legacy characters in it. Not any, I guess H2O is a great example of just fucking leaving town, which I don't have a lot of nice things to say about H2O, but that is one smart thing that it does is, at very least she tries to escape, and that's good. Yeah, that's true. There is a lot of deconstruction of trauma, which I guess makes sense to a degree because a lot of people in like our present day society are becoming, I guess, more comfortable directly contending with trauma and mental illness and what have you. I could use less of it, to be honest. Like I really liked this movie. And I think it caps off the trilogy nicely, blah, 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 blah. I also really love Nope. But I will say Nope isn't quite as subtext as text as this is. I think it's a little more subtle, hence all the arguments around it and its themes. Let's see. Lena says, I spent the whole time thinking it was a Fight Club situation, which would have been way more interesting to me. See, I disagree. I really like this direction. I do think another note I have is the Christine connection. This movie's basically what if Stephen King wrote a Halloween sequel, and I like that. I'm a little mild on the whole thing being so indebted to Christine, which if you don't know, the junkyard, the relationship between Corey and Michael Myers, the fact that his name is Corey Cunningham, there's a lot of direct references to Christine in this movie, and even a lot of like plot beats from Christine. And I mean, I really like the book Christine. I think the movie, I'd have to rewatch the movie because last time I watched it was right after reading the book, and I was a little kind of, but I know that was me bringing a bias in, which I feel like is something a lot of people are doing with this movie, is bringing a lot of biases in and not letting it just breathe as its own movie or the trilogy as its own thing. And like, oh, we need to respect the lore. And like, bitch, Halloween 6 happened. Like, there's no, you can't. I understand if you like. I totally understand not liking this movie. First off, I totally get that. I'm not going to say you're dumb or silly for not liking it. Totally a subjective thing. I think you have to be of a certain mind to really like it. I think for one thing, if you don't gel with the Corey character right off the bat, you're fucked. That is a big thing you need. If you can't deal with the fact that he's like a main character and you can't deal with his personality and what he represents, you're probably not going to like the movie. That's just how it is. And that's fine. That's a personal thing. But I just lost track of the point I was making. I'm sorry. I keep looking at the chat. Let's see. Did you talk about the low-key incest stuff with Corey's mom? Lena hated the movie. I have not talked about the incest stuff. I briefly hinted at his trauma with his mother. Yeah, the incest thing, it's so quick that I kind of ignored it as far as like the criticism. That did feel like a bit of a cheap shot. I think that mother, like I already, so the mom thing I actually thought was, I thought it was maybe a bit much to layer on. I think the inclusion, I forget his name, but the stepdad, I can't remember his fucking name, but Ron or something. I thought the inclusion of the stepdad kind of made it better because he was so supportive. And I think it was very important to show that this kid had some support. I say kid, this guy had some support, because otherwise it turns into a huge cliche. I think if like, the whole town's against him and he has a hateful stepdad and no one likes him, blah, blah, blah. That would be really boring. I like that he does have these opportunities for growth, and he does have these places where he can find solace and get over his trauma, but then he sort of chooses not to. And I think that's important, that he's given the opportunity and he fails to take the right path. I think that's great. I did not like the incest thing, and I didn't particularly care about the mom, or for the mom being so over the top. Like, I don't know, she was kind of doing like a Jewish mom thing, right? Am I crazy? Like she was it was like that kind of stereotype. And I didn't particularly care for it. That said, it didn't like hurt the movie for me. It was just sort of a like, this is fine. I could have done with just the other traumas and been cool. But it does explain him having a more childish outlook on life. We kind of see that in the beginning when he chooses chocolate milk over Heineken, and then later on he chooses chocolate milk again, even though 4 year, in 2019 he's already 21, so he's in his mid 20s and he's still drinking chocolate milk. It does give us sort of a malleable brain, so it allows for more leeway in where they take the character and how he reacts to situations, which from a writing perspective is great, because like there's this movie, one of my other criticisms is it's very overstuffed, and I think that by taking some shortcuts with Corey's character, they made some really smart decisions there, because there's just too much. And so you need something where you can just go, okay, he's a bit childish and immature. Done. Cool. Great. Speaking of childish and immature, aren't you supposed to be like taking a bath or going to bed or something?
He escaped after finishing his oatmeal.
He escaped, much like how Michael Myers escapes in various Halloween sequels, such as Halloween 4, where he puts his thumb in a forehead. All right. Okay, I love you, baby. Oh, I love you so much. But you need to go now. I'm going to say naughty words.
Nanny mouth.
You
I can't wait.
don't need to be sorry about anything. Okay. All right. You're stepping on my fat rolls. Okay. And now you're stepping on my collarbone. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus. Oh, this is trauma that's going to turn me into a serial killer.
Good night, Dad. Say, I'm not going to run it again. I promise.
It does add a certain Norman Bates element. That's fair. Again, it doesn't really bother me as much, but that's true. It does have a bit of a psycho tinge to it. Definitely. Let's see here. Carrie Mulligan says the opening is one of the best openings of the franchise. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that this whole and I'd have to rewatch Halloween Kills, because again, I have not revisited it because I didn't like it. But I thought that the opening to Halloween 2018 was fantastic. It's a great use of sound as well as just build up and everything. I also like seeing Charleston in movies sometimes, especially when it's supposed to be Illinois. But yeah, I really like the opening quite a bit. I'm not a big fan of child death in movies for obvious reasons, but whatever. The Michael Corey sex. I disagree with wanting it to be all like that, although there is part of me that wouldn't mind, because it would create even more backlash. And in this instance, I do find it kind of entertaining. I wouldn't have hated that, but at the same time, I think I don't know that it would actually work with the trilogy that was created. But also, admittedly, I'm a fan of this movie. You're not, so that's gonna, it's an obvious split, I guess. Me and words are not friends. Let's see here. I forgot. Let's see here. Where Monkey Man Bob at the very top said, watched it tonight. Doesn't feel like a Halloween movie. Has something interesting going. Not convinced it works. That was kind of how I felt. I didn't mind the feeling that it wasn't like a Halloween movie, because honestly, again, we've had so many iterations of this in the series that have felt off or bad, that I'm like, whatever, like, I don't mind. Like, go crazy, kid. Like, I don't. If you asked me like a decade ago if I like franchises going off and doing their own thing, I don't know what I would have said. I might have been against it to some degree, but at this point in my life, I like when franchises go off the rails, as long as it works within context. And I think within context, this really works. Whereas something like, say, Halloween 6 does not work. Similarly, like when I watched Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, I hated it. And then, come years later, watched it again. I'm like, this is fucking rad. So, opinions change over time, I guess. Let's see here. I liked when Michael stabbed that cop that Corey was holding for him, and then he began shaking into Yeah, the sex scene. Yeah, I didn't really take it as sexual as a lot of people did. Like, I noticed the implication. I didn't like think of it as so overt that it was like distracting or anything. Like, I kind of was just like, hey, he's kind of taking a position there. I don't know. I didn't really have many feelings about that scene. I think I was distracted because there's been so many times where killers have like pushed a knife through one character and it's either like gone into a wall or it's gone into another character, or that fucking machete that goes through a fucking redwood in Freddy versus Jason. That I kept thinking about, like, he gonna get cut? Because it like that he was going deep with that knife, and Michael Myers has a history of pushing knives straight through people. But I thought it was, that was a fine moment to, symbolize, these two characters sharing an intimate moment. It works for me. I always, me, I don't mind a little gay sex in my cinema. So that was fine. I didn't notice the orgasm thing. I noticed a lot of people talk about Michael Myers busting a load in his jumpsuit. I must have missed that. I just saw it as him like kind of like getting some, I don't know how to describe, almost like getting some power back. Like, Papa's got a new groove type thing. But I don't know. Maybe I'm not as perverted as I used to be. Let's see. What else did I have in my notes? Oh yeah, fuck Michael Myers. This kind of goes along with my problems with the whole, like, you can't disrespect the lore or the characters. First off, like, if you like Halloween 2018, you kind of have to accept that Michael Myers is a man. He's a strong man, and whatever trauma he is dealing with in his weird fucking brain, and maybe it's just pure evil from birth, who knows, which is something else I like, is we never really get a full explanation as to why he's evil. He's just this representation of evil and trauma. That's great, but he's just a man. And so him being decrepit and like slowly dying basically is cool. I dig it. Him getting fucking crucified to that kitchen island, and then being just like murdered and brutally disposed of. Even though I don't like the Halloween Kills vibes, that's great. Fuck him. He's a murderer. Who gives a shit? I don't get, like, obviously if you're gonna like, I don't know, do a Halloween 6 on him and make him part of this cult, that I think is a negative for the character. I think that is, it's not really disrespecting lore per se, but it is disrespecting the concept of the character. I don't think anything about this disrespects the character. The thing that I love about OG Michael Myers in the original film is that he's just a guy who, for whatever reason, is evil, and he goes and he kills, and he's like a shark. Great. And he's just a dude. That's also great. I love that he's not supernatural. And so, what's the natural end for a character who's not supernatural, especially when he's like a bajillion years old? He's taken down by a mom and daughter and, put in a not a compactor, whatever, the thrasher, whatever the fuck that's called. Amazing. Cool. Great. Fine. Like, I this whole like being precious with continuity 13 films in, like, fuck that. No, like, fuck it. I don't get it. I just don't. If if that's your thing, cool, but this need for like the same old thing again and again, I disagree with the caveat that if this had been the same old thing, if this was, Michael Myers going around killing a shitload of people, and then, the ending as we saw it basically happens as is, I probably would have liked it okay. This is a far more interesting film, but if that movie had happened and they ditched the like Halloween Kills, like Evil Dies Tonight bullshit, and it was just like a straight slasher movie, and we got like a bunch of great kills, because like Halloween Kills has amazing murder sequences. Like, that's great shit. That is the best part of Halloween Kills. That and Michael Smallwood having a role. So I'm chill. I would have been chill with that. I probably would have come out saying that was pretty good. And depending on how, and David Gordon Green's a great director, so maybe I would have come out saying that was fucking amazing. Who knows? But given what we were given, I think this works really well. I think that the idea of trauma being passed down, how it's like this, force in the world that can't fully be, taken away. You can just, dispose of your own traumas as best as possible, and then learn to live with it and move on. Go see the cherry blossoms. I think that's great. I think it's a great message there. I think it's a really, again, with the understanding that this is very much subtext is text, and I'm not a huge fan of that. I think that is a really smart way to do it. Wait. Let's see here. Were there any characters in Rob Zombie's Halloween movies that you preferred over their original counterparts? I really liked Annie. Annie in the first movie is kind of a nothing character, so I think Annie is better. It helps that she's not killed in the first movie, and that you get more of her. I would dare say you get more of her in both movies than you do in the first film, or in the original film. Cool channel. Dread, you get it. Annie was better. Yeah, Annie was great. I actually really like Laurie in the remake. I don't think that Scout Taylor Compton necessarily beats out Jamie Lee Curtis. I think there is potentially an argument to be made for it, but I think she's a little too sloppy. Not as an actress, but like written. I think she's a little too sloppy. So I wouldn't say that, but she does get, she gets a pretty stellar arc overall, whereas Jamie Lee Curtis has 3 arcs in the fucking franchise. I think it's just Annie. And Sheriff Brackett. Sheriff Brackett is great in the remake, and in the in both Zombie Weens. Brackett's great. So Annie and her dad are far and away better. My brain is losing it, but the one who dies in bed, who's strangled, she's better in the original by a huge margin. That's about it. Everybody, nothing else is really better per se. Even or close enough for government work, sure. I think Malcolm McDowell is a hoot, but obviously Donald Pleasance is Donald Pleasance, and he's iconic in the role. There's even I can't even be objective about that. He's Donald Pleasance. That's one of those things where I'm gonna let my fandom kind of lead the way and say that's better. So I'm also not a huge fan of the first Zombie Wayne. I really like 2. I think the first one is fine. Let's see here. I've seen a lot of people say it's the worst movie in the franchise. I think that's just fucking stupid. Sorry, that's silly. That's very silly. I still have those fucking movies stuck in my brain from last year. I think it is I think between 6 and 9. Wait, no, not 9, because 9 would be fuck. I'm so bad at this. Wait, okay, so 6, so 8. Resurrections. I think with that, come on. There's this weird attempt at rejuvenating the opinion of Curse and Resurrections, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Those movies are they suck. They're just very bad, in my opinion. And for the longest time, that was a pretty well understood thing. And then, as much as I love Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, considering how people have treated that movie over the years, I find it hard to believe that this is worse than that in those people's eyes. If that makes any sense. That seems outrageous to me. That said, I also get it to some degree, because this is a film that, there was no marketing that suggested that this was the plot. The only way you would know that this was the plot is if you read the leaks. And I'm assuming the leaks were right. I never read them. Oh, wow. We got A third appearance. Much like Michael Myers, he will not stay away.
Why are you
He will not die. He will not die.
Make me laugh.
Can you laugh?
Make you run?
Evil never dies.
No, die.
Mwah. I love you. Oh, my baby boy.
Who did they do?
Who are these people? Weirdos. Okay. Can you say bye, weirdos?
Bye, Willow.
Okay.
Right. Oliver, you gotta.
Oh my God. Oh, he's going sandbag. He's sandbagging.
Come on.
He's sandbagging.
Stand up. You've got bones.
Oh,
Thank you.
jeez.
I don't want to tell you all of your life, but you know this door closes when there's not stuff in the way, right?
I know, but I got a lot of stuff.
Hey, you don't need that. Go out, out.
Why?
Oh man.
Go, dude.
I think I gave it a 3.5 out of 5, so that's a 7. Yeah, I get same. I don't know what I was talking about before he came in.
I'm so sorry.
I'll be honest with you guys. Let me just go back through. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's no way this is the worst of the franchise. I just find that ridiculous. Like, just as the thing that bugs me is when the only criticism of the film is that it's not a repetition of what's come before. Like, if you're going to give it actual criticism, cool, but that's not really a criticism. That's just your preference, and your preference doesn't really define the quality of a movie. It's like me saying like that, I don't really have a genre that I dislike, but I'm not a big fan of mainstream romantic comedies, I guess. So, me saying that like whatever fucking movie Gerard Butler was in 2009 is bad just because I don't like romantic comedies, that's not really a criticism. That's just my preference. So I can't say that movie fucking sucks because I don't know. It's not my preference. It's just not for me. And the only other criticism I've really seen outside of it's not the same old Halloween thing, or it's not a slasher movie, which debatable, is that it doesn't make any sense. To that I say, did we watch the same movie? And I think that response is brought on by that kind of bias that comes in with being a fan of a franchise and wanting a certain thing and not getting that thing. Because 100% it makes sense. Like, there's nothing about it that doesn't make sense. Maybe the ending with the whole town coming together, but within the context of what happens in Halloween Kills, I think it does make sense. As much as I don't particularly like that, it does make narrative sense. How is he back? You're just like this franchise! You're just like this franchise! Why won't you die?
Hey, you.
No, come on.
Buddy, I love you so much. I love you so much. I really do. I need to stream. I need those likes. Guys, can you say please give likes?
Please like.
See, please give likes, everyone.
Please like.
Give us likes. Like this video. Like it so that we may rest in peace. Finally, let us rest in peace with likes. With likes. Say it. Say likes. Likes. Like the video. Share it with your friends. Please. Please. Or our trauma will boil to the surface, and we will wear a scarecrow mask together, and we will kill. Can you say kill? You're still stuck on the previous verse, but that's okay. All right. Go away. Ugh. Man, y'all are getting your money's worth tonight.
No.
Jesus.
Can we trade? Can I finish the stream? I saw the movie.
No, you didn't. Go away. All right. So yeah, there's no way this is the worst of the franchise. That's basically what I was getting at. I find it ridiculous to say as such. Let's see. I like the cinematography. It's no Dean Cundy, but what is? I love that David Gordon Green just straight up steals from Fallen Angels and Lost Highway in the span of 2 shots. I thought that was like I see what you're doing there. I love his like weird film school like flourishes. I don't think they're like as obnoxious as someone who might be from like the Quentin Tarantino camp might utilize. I think they're just subtle enough. I wouldn't call them subtle as a whole, but like they're just subtle enough for it to work for me. I also, and there's other elements of the cinematography that I really liked. I like the camera slowly like rotating as Corey escapes the sewer, and like he's taking a look back, you know, because he can't believe what just happened. He's trying to like come to terms with what just happened to him, and it kind of mimics that rotating look up the stairwell from the beginning. I think that's how it happened. It might not spin in the beginning. I think it could just be the spinning move later when we revisit the house, when he's when he's bringing Allison by. I don't fully remember, but I like that juxtaposition. Yeah, I think the cinematography is solid. I could use more master shots. I think there is this problem in a lot of movies, and I do this sometimes, so I can't really. Well, no, I can't because they have a lot of money. There's this like interest in like close shots of everything, and like what feels like just getting coverage and figuring it out later. And I think if you have like that much money, don't go for coverage. Like know what you're going to do and do it well. You know, like have more master shots, guys. Also feel like this should have been shot in Charleston. Just saying. Let's see here. I love the opening credits. I think that those were really well done. Those are some of my favorite opening credits of the franchise. The Halloween 3 nod is cute in the opening credits, and it does kind of show that David Gordon Green does understand what he was doing. You know, it wasn't, you know, I feel there were a few comments of like, you know, I can't believe that they, you know, basically these comments that suggest that the filmmakers don't know what they're doing, and 100% they know what they're doing. They're not stupid, and the opening credits kind of show that. Also, I like that the pumpkin represents trauma, like being reborn again and again. I don't know if that was intentional or if it was just meant to be like the sheer number of fucking movies in this old ass franchise. But that does make a question: how many times does the pumpkin get reborn? I didn't count. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I saw some people, not a lot, but a few people complain that Lindsay Wallace didn't have a very big role. Kyle Richards is basically in it for like a day of shooting. It seemed like. I feel like she must be in the final crowd shot. I don't remember though if she's in the crowd, but she basically spends her entire time behind a bar, and I thought that was great. You know, there's a lot of nostalgia baiting in Halloween Kills that's less so here, and I think it's kind of nice that Lindsay Wallace just gets to be a bartender and doesn't get dragged back into everything. I think that's cool. Let's see here. One thing that did bug me, and this is a very minor thing that did not affect the quality of the movie, but it did just bother me in the moment and took me out of the film a little bit. And that was the continuity of the flashlight that the police officer uses, the dickhead that dated Allison, in the sewer. Didn't love that it just goes from wide to narrow randomly. I'm sure that flashlight, I couldn't really, even if I could tell what model it was, I wouldn't know what the fuck to do with that information. But even if it does have a wide and narrow setting, which it probably does, like it just in between shots switches between really wide and really narrow. And it, again, it's not a negative for me. I'm not like, you know, being a nitpicker. It just kind of annoyed me in the moment because it's so egregious. I don't even know if that's something a lot of people know picked up on, but it just changes between these two modes willy nilly. Doesn't make a lick of sense. Doesn't really matter. That's just filmmaking. I'm sure that the editor in like when he was putting it together was like, God damn it, you guys, come on. But you know, that's fine. I get that. I get that so hard. I'm not sure that the initial romance between Allison and Corey really works. I saw a lot of that as well. A lot of people who say that the movie doesn't make any sense have harped on that. You know, I think most movies demand that you just kind of accept certain things. and I think it's harder for people to do that with franchise films that they, for franchises that they are fans of. Like, I don't know, like, for example, the central romance in Badlands just kind of happens, and you kind of just have to accept it. And it's based on a real thing, which is not as romantic, but that's a tangent. But I felt that the romance wasn't entirely successful in that initial stage, but once I accepted it as this is just, she has decided this is going to work for her, move on. Like, that's what I did. And sometimes you just have to do that. It is definitely a flaw. I'm not saying it's not. I just don't think it's a huge flaw. I think that it's one of those things where in the moment you just have to go as a viewer, okay, this is how it is. And beyond that, you could easily explain it away by taking it as Allison dealing with her own trauma, and seeking a fellow kind of outcast, traumatized soul. And Lori kind of sees that too. She sees that this is someone that Allison can attach to. Someone who's been through something comparative. Which, great job, Lori. You kind of screwed the pooch on that one, but whatever. Actually, I guess, yeah, none of this would have happened if Lori didn't try to play matchmaker. So bad job, Lori Strode. And yeah, in a way, it works as an analog for romanticizing killers and traumatized individuals. The Dahmer thing is kind of a recent example of that. I say recent, a recycled recent version of that. But that could be overanalyzing things. I might just be, going a little too far with that. Let's see here. The kills were just okay. I didn't really think that the kills in the movie were particularly good. And I don't think that would be a problem. It's not really a problem, but it wouldn't be as noticeable if the last film didn't have such rad kills in it, I think one thing I loved about Halloween Kills is that when we're following Michael Myers around and we see him killing, we see that kind of childish aspect of his mental state, which actually, come to think of it, is a great comparison to Corey, because Corey's also got a childish state of mind. Michael Myers is perpetually a child, basically. And the way that he kind of plays with his food is a byproduct of that childishness, because he never got an actual, he never really grew up. He just was sent to an asylum and poked and prodded at by a doctor for years. So it actually, that actually makes me like this movie more. But the actual murders in Halloween Kills, the way that he plays with people, like the I can't remember their names, but the couple in the woods, the woman shows up here in a wheelchair and she can't talk. Like, that sequence in Halloween Kills is an absolute all-timer for the franchise. As much as I don't like that movie, that sequence is fantastic and really shows how much the filmmakers understand the character, and kind of lends more credence to this film's interpretation of him, because they have that understanding. I did like the DJ kill. That was fine. I love seeing Darcy show up in a movie. I know we didn't see her die, but apparently that's an extended scene. So I'm actually really excited to see the extended cut of this. I never even cared to check out the extended cut of Halloween Kills. I'm very excited to see the extended cut of this film. I might finally watch the extended cut of Halloween Kills when the extended cut of this film comes out, and just like do it back to back. I don't really know that I need to watch 2018 again, but it might not be bad to just kind of like feel for the threads, I guess, because there's definitely that feeling that these all kind of work as one unit. Oh yeah. Oh man, I totally forgot about that. But I'm glad you brought that up. Carrie Mulligan says, while I wish we got to see the mullet-haired sidekick douche die, the way they filmed the torch in the ringleader's mouth was great. That's actually a good point. I will not completely take back my criticism that the kills are mild, because I do overall think that's the case. But that's a very good point. We don't get to see the mullet-haired kid die, which is too bad, because he's a great little like personality in there. I love that kid. But the way that they film the torch in the ringleader's mouth is amazing. That like focusing on the person seeing it while it's happening in the foreground, and you can like see just enough where you see like the blowtorch entering the kid's mouth and like glowing the cheeks and burning the face away. Like, that is great. And now I'm reevaluating. Like, honestly, I might be wrong about the kills being mild. I think that it could just be. This is a great lesson, by the way. Always be chill with changing your opinion. Like, I think it might just be a byproduct of there not being a lot of kills in the movie. Because now that I'm thinking about it, like, those kids' kills were pretty good, with the blowtorch being fantastic. The head stomp was okay, but the blowtorch was great. Didn't like how they killed the stepdad. I thought that was lame. That just felt like you need to kill him. Because I was really curious how he and Corey would interact. Like, would Corey kill him? Would he let him go? Like, we never get an answer to that, and that's one of those things that I really would have liked an answer to. I think that would have helped Corey as a character potentially. Could have also hurt because it's a bit of a risk, but considering how risky this movie is from the get-go, I would have liked more risk in that moment. But yeah, the DJ kill, I think it's because there's so many that we cut away from, like Darcy's death, that is a little weird. The CG tongue flopping around on the turntable was pretty funny. The tongue on the turntable was fucking hilarious. And also, again, it works because you have that childish state, even though it's not Michael Myers. It's a similar kind of guy. Great. Like, that is 100% something I would expect from that mentality, I guess. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, like, and there's the wall gag and the knife gag with the wall, which is a pretty good rendition of that scene. The doctor nurse thing, I think that there was a serious lack of tension in that sequence that I would have liked. I wish that sequence, there's two sequences I wish went longer. I wish that the doctor nurse sequence went longer, because that's our big kill set piece, really. Like, that's because you have Michael Myers and Corey in the same sequence doing the killing. I think that could have gone longer and been extended a bit, which maybe it is in the extended version. And I would have, as much as I don't like the glorification of Michael Myers that people seem to be asking for, I would have liked him to go out slightly less like a bitch. Like, in that moment where he battles it out with Laurie, that's fine. Like, everything from basically when he starts attacking Laurie on, great. I do wish there was some way they could have allowed him to go out with a bit more, like, bang. Not his death again. Like, I think his death is perfectly good. Like, unmasking him, making him sort of impotent in that moment is great. I really appreciated that. As much as I don't like the whole town gathering, it makes sense. And him actually being thrown into the compactor or whatever, the thrasher, whatever it's called, is a great bit of gore and a nice appropriate end for the character. I don't know. I feel like there's a way that you could write it so that there's like one or two additional victims and he gets like that little bit of extra murderizing. Because as it stands, he only kills, what, 3 people? Because there's the police officer, there's the nurse, and there is Corey. And I think that's it. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. And 3 isn't bad. I mean, he doesn't kill a whole lot of people in the first film, so, whatever. But I do feel like because of the way they're trying to cram all this stuff, and this kind of comes to the issue I initially brought up, is there's so much going on in this film that it feels like it's just a little too packed in. Like, I've complained a lot recently about movies needing to be shorter. Like, I feel like Hellraiser, the remake of Hellraiser, not remake, reboot, whatever, the new Hellraiser, should have been like 20 minutes shorter. It's way too long for what it is. It overstays its welcome. And I don't know why I still have this up. I feel like this could have used an additional 20 minutes. Maybe not 20, like 10 minutes. But like, if there was just like, some way, like maybe the cops show up a little bit early to the suicide attempt, and we get maybe a little bit more of Hawkins. Don't kill him, but a little bit more Hawkins, and maybe like 2 deputies that go in and die, something like that. And you can use that to show how weak Michael is. You can show him struggle more, have to kind of John Wick his way out of that situation. So, that is something that, it is a minor flaw. I think that structurally it just kind of falls apart a bit in that third act, not in a fatal way, just in one of those, man, that could have been better kind of ways. So that's something that stood out to me. Let's see here. Monkey Man Bob says, favorite piece of dialogue was when the girl under the truck responds to the bully. He says she's dead, and she replies, "So are you." I also really like that. That was pretty good. That was pretty solid. That's what the kids call iconic. Why was the shape all weak when the last movie ended with him hulking out? I kind of addressed this earlier, but basically the way I look at it, and I have not revisited Halloween Kills since seeing it the first time because I didn't like it. So with that in mind, I'm probably forgetting something. I did just assume that it was him getting that adrenaline rush because he's like, he's motivated by murder. He's mysterious in so much as we do not know what really pushes him other than the need to kill. We don't know where that need to kill comes from. I saw it as one last hurrah and a lot of people underestimating their importance. Because if you think about it, like all those people attacking him are not the best of the best. Like the most physically fit, as I recall, is Anthony Michael Hall, who is like 10 years at best younger than Michael Myers, and still not that young. So I saw it as a bunch of people, like this mob created by mob mentality. I don't know what else to call it. Who are really high on their own supply, and they go after this fucking guy, and they're like, "We're gonna, evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight." And then they finally actually try to deal with that trauma, and it turns out it's a little harder than you thought, folks. And then they're brutally killed. And it helps that they really didn't bring any good weapons. They all brought like fucking like toaster ovens and shit, whatever it was. Like he has a baseball bat, and Michael Myers has a knife, and he catches them unawares because they are sure that they have won, and he brutally kills them. It is, I think, a flaw in Halloween Kills that he is so powerful at the end, or seems so powerful. But I think that comes from just how it's shot, and that with like black backdrop, just blood in slow motion. It feels like he's more powerful than he actually is, if that makes sense. And at this point, he is, it's been 4 years. He's even older than he was before. Because again, 4 years, that's a lot of time when you're that fucking old. And he's dealing with a lot of wounds. I don't remember all the wounds he has from that movie because, again, been a while. But, he's probably like all infected and fucked up. And so it makes sense that he would be super fucked up now, because he's not the embodiment of evil. He is a man who, is perhaps more driven than others in his psychosis, but that's about it. But that's how I interpret it. I would need to rewatch Halloween Kills because it's been so long. And also I don't like that movie. So I'm okay with kind of, being kind of blip blip with the logic there. Let's see here. The throwing him in the compactor is basically every stoned guys watching Halloween, Friday the 13th in the 80s conversation post-viewing. Dude, I'd chop him up and bury him in like 40 states. Yes, it is. And I thought that was great. I did catch on to that. And I thought it was fucking really funny in the moment that they were doing because I remember I had those conversations as a teenager. It's like, and even when you're watching the movies, you're like, fucking chop that bitch up. And I'm glad that they did it because, like there's the title is Halloween Ends, and you're expecting from that title, you are hoping that they're actually going to put an end to Michael Myers, and it's not just a misnomer. And they put a fucking end to him. There's not really any coming back from that. So good stuff. Let's see here. The last shot of the doctor makes him look very sleazy, so the off-screen initial strike worked for me, especially because I liked how the other mask is revealed through the nurse's eyes. That's actually a good point. That's very fair. I still wish the scene was longer, but you make a good point about the reveal of the mask. So fair enough. That's a good point. I cannot deny Yeah, and here's another thing. I firmly believe that when I rewatch this movie, a lot of the things that don't work for me now will work for me more because everybody I feel like had that initial reaction of wait, what's happening? Because it was such, because all the advertisements are like Michael versus Laurie, only one will survive. And so you're thinking, oh yeah, well, this is the Michael versus Laurie show. And then it's completely not that for most of the movie, even though Michael is a presence and Michael is sort of the reason for what is happening. He's the evil trauma that, started this shockwave of trauma. It's effectively why Jeremy dies. Not exactly, but it's, if Michael Myers hadn't done what he had done, then what happened with the kid wouldn't have happened. And then, et cetera, et cetera. It's this central trauma. Sorry, I got distracted by chat again. I'm very easily distracted. This is why I don't often do this sort of thing. Let's see here. King of Sanity says, when the movie ended, I walked straight to the kitchen and slammed my genitals in the refrigerator door repeatedly for 10 minutes. That's too bad. But hey, we have an overpopulation problem as is, so maybe it's fine. Let's see here. They should have made him not able to shrug off gunshot wounds to the chest and kills, probably. Yeah, probably. Again, like I think you can kind of finagle it as, he's so weak because of all that stuff. I do think that, knowing that they wanted to do something at least similar to this when making Halloween Kills, since, the idea was to shoot them back to back, they obviously had a script ready, which was changed to some degree, but, they had something. I do think it's a curious decision. And again, it's a flaw. Like it's okay. It's okay to have flaws in movies. Like a flaw does not negate the entire experience. It's a flaw that you have to kind of deal with as an audience member as you see fit. For me, it's something I can just look past. I understand if you can't, but that's kind of how I see it. I do it like it is annoying that they bring up this concept in 2018 that he is just a man, and then it turns into but also he's a man who can survive all these gunshot wounds. You could maybe make the the argument basically that he survived in Halloween. Obviously he had like medical care because it did catch him, but he did survive that initial drop in Halloween. So you could say that he got some homeless guy got a medical attention. I don't know. It's one of those things where you don't know how he managed to survive, and that's okay. It's just like how you don't know what his motive is in the first movie. It's okay to not know. It is, I think, a flaw to do he's just a human, but also he can survive all this shit as an old man. I do think that's a mistake, if only because of what the premise is. But it's a mistake I can get past because, again, it's a character shrouded in mystery who you never fully understand, which is great. And it's one of the things I like about Michael Myers. Let me see here. According to Laurie, the more that Michael kills, the more he transcends. That's why he was so powerful in Kills. So Ends doesn't really jive with what you stated. So I don't like this interpretation of how Laurie taught. I think this is that literalist thing I was talking about, which is that, Laurie in Halloween Kills is wrong. She thinks that this is about her, and it's not. All these people think it's about them, and it's not. Everyone's being overdramatic about something that is beyond them. And, the more he kills, the more he transcends. At very, like, the most right she is that it's the only thing that drives him. I think that taking that literally as he is like some kind of like fucking Saiyan, and the more he fights, like the stronger he gets, by some like supernatural thing, A, is dumb, but B, how would she know that? She's spitballing here. She doesn't really know. So it's not, it's like in The Last Jedi when Kylo Ren, is it Kylo that says it? Pretty sure it's Kylo that says it. Let the past die is this thing that is taken out of context constantly, because he's the bad guy. And here, I think, again, we have things that are taken out of context, as far as like what the characters know. And, assuming that Laurie, because she's Laurie Strode, just knows everything. I don't think that's the case. I think she's just being as fucking full of shit as the rest of the town in Halloween Kills. That's my view of it. Again, I haven't watched the movie in a long time. Big ol', grain of salt, because I can't really analyze it much because it's been so long. Let's see here. I actually enjoyed the flick quite a bit, but felt it could have been its own thing. Like, just call it Haddonfield and focus on the Corey character and fallout of Michael Myers. But then it's still a Halloween sequel, right? Like, no matter what, it's still a Halloween sequel. And I don't think, if it was Halloween colon the return of Michael Myers, okay, that's a bad title. But I feel like we've all had this conversation before about John Carpenter's original vision for Halloween, how he thought it should just be like an anthology series. To me, that's what this is doing effectively. It's what's the having its cake and eating it too, or what, that stupid fucking phrase. It's saying, okay, well, we're going to do the anthology idea in so much as we're going to follow a different story, but it's still going to be under the purview of this is the fallout of Michael Myers. This is because of Michael Myers. Michael Myers is a part of this. And it's kind of marrying the idea of what John Carpenter thought it should be with what you need to have a successful movie. Because as we all know, per Halloween 3, if you fucking go off completely without Michael Myers, you're fucked. So, I thought it was a really interesting way of doing that, where it is technically a different story, but the entire, all the characters, all of the beats are informed by his actions and by his presence within the community, even if he's not really physically all there. It's in the very beginning, it's how it's kind of poisoned the minds of Haddonfield. And that's a cool idea. And I mean, John Carpenter had that idea. I don't remember the full details because it's been a long time, but it was something along the lines of a sequel where Michael Myers was effectively haunting Haddonfield through the sort of, I don't think trauma was ever used, but essentially through that trauma, it's staying in their heads. It's like Freddy's Dead, Final Nightmare, where the town is just like completely just busted because of the memory of Freddy Krueger, even though there's not really any Freddy Krueger happenings anymore. But better. Not dealing with Halloween, but have you seen Terrifier 2? I haven't. I was so pissed off. There was one theater showing it in town, and they had I don't remember, it was a 4 o'clock and a 10 o'clock basically. And I went to, I could not do the 10 o'clock because I'm an old man. And I think I had to shoot the next day, if I remember correctly. And I went to check out, and it was no longer available. And it was the last day they were showing. It was the only day I could have made it, and it was sold out. And I was very displeased. So I've not seen Terrifier 2 yet. I'm not a huge fan of Terrifier. I thought it was good. I was very intrigued to see this one in theaters, but it's going to just have to be at home because your boy's busy and didn't snag those tickets when he could. So yeah, didn't get to see Terrifier 2. We're at an hour and 13 minutes. I don't really have much else to say. Let me see if I guess ask any chats, anything else you want me to cover in the chat, just let me know. I'm gonna give a few minutes for that to happen while also, what should I name my channel now? Because you can have a little handle that's your URL, and Michael Keene is taken. So also let me know what I should do there. I'm kind of leaning towards go watch a movie, Sleazy Michael, one of those, but I don't know. Oh, it was expanded? Oh shit. Movie collection video when I was thinking about this today. I'm probably going to push it to after I finish Deathface, because I really want to have a camera operator for it and really go ham with it, but I don't have time to do it right now, and I want it to be really fucking sick. I'm sorry I keep pushing it off. It's I push things off a lot. I had a patron who sent me money to do a 2001: A Space Odyssey video, and I still haven't done it, and it's been well over a year since I was given that money. I still plan on doing it. I'm still working on it, but I just haven't like. I feel really weak with certain topics and videos. I need it to be just right, and the collection video is one of those where I want it to be just right. Also, everything's messy. Like, look at this fucking shit. Look at that. What the fuck is this shit? What the fuck? What am I? An animal? Jesus Christ. Holy shit, it's fucking nasty in here. Look, like I have peanut butter on my desk. I got a fucking pipe. I got 3 types of weed on my desk, 2 lighters, a thing of Tums, a fucking I got all kinds of shit on here. Like it's ridiculous. So I need to clean. My mom's coming to town on Monday. So maybe I'll be able to get some cleaning done while she's here. Maybe that'll up the chance of a video, but yeah, I think about it constantly, not constantly, a lot. So it is going to happen. It's going to take a minute. So I apologize, but it will happen. Just like the 2001 video will happen. All the videos that you guys suggested in my I'm leaving video comments, those are all happening. It's just, it takes a while. I want to move to Morocco. I want to haunt that motherfucker. Where's the Andy Sedaris? That's fucking weird. I was watching. So guys, if you get a chance, I say if you get a chance, just do it. Go to All That Is Man's page. It's All That Is Man 1. Has a little, it's that one, the one that's right here. Go to his page. He has the best unboxings. I don't do a lot of unboxings anymore because again, my time is just like completely, it's just fucked. And unboxings, the way that I like to do them, take a long time. But this motherfucker does the best unboxing videos. But it's funny you mention that because I was watching your video, your latest unboxing today, and you have the Andy Sedaris joke, and my immediate reaction was, fuck, I need to do that series. It's that series, the Universal Monsters series. That's another one I want to do. That's one that's on my schedule for next year. That one's going to disappoint you a bit, but who knows? Maybe we'll collect bongs next. Let's see. A24 presents Halloween Ends. It does kind of feel like that a little bit. Let's see. I will check Terrifier 2 showtimes, by the way. I will try to watch it. If I do see it, maybe I'll do a video. This is a lot of fun. I don't feel like I did a whole lot of interacting with you guys. I feel like I was just ranting for an hour and change, but like this is fun. This is kind of nice. I might do more of this for like new releases because I'd really like I'm not going to be spending a lot of time reviewing new stuff, like as far as like edited videos goes. But I could do more of these if y'all like these. I can schedule them a bit more in advance, so it's not like all of a sudden. And it's fun, like kind of using the chat as prompts to talk about these things. So yeah, this is fun. Let's see. Someone, I think Films at Home had a thread about, yeah. Let's see here. Man, he really, wait, let me just harp on him a little bit. Which nice guy, by the way, all that shit. Just, I don't agree with a lot of his opinions. All right, let's see here. Let's boop, 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 boop. People who don't like the other Halloween movies will like Halloween Ends because Ends is barely a Halloween movie. Strong disagree. That's someone who is really good at specs, but is not as good at actually analyzing movies. Because if you like the previous 2 movies, this one does fall in line thematically. It does fall in line with the story. Again, it might not be what you want, but this is a fucking stupid tweet. Sorry, it just is. Partially because I love Halloween. Like, I don't like, there's a fair amount of the movies that I don't like, but when you actually like lay it out, like when I was looking at my ranking list, most of them are at least good. Like, I still think it's one of the worst franchises. Hellraiser's probably above it, but like it's not a great franchise. But Halloween 2018 was a perfect restart of the franchise. Halloween Kills was an awesome gore fest. So much Michael's screen time. See, this is the problem. Okay, this is the problem I have with people complaining about Halloween Ends. It's all about this right here. It's all about the screen time. Who gives a fuck? There's not a whole lot of fucking screen time in Halloween. Like he has more screen time in Halloween than he does in Halloween Ends, but like he's not in it that fucking much. Like it's a lot of buildup to get to that big night. And then, conversely, like there's a few movies where there's a lot of Michael Myers is in a lot of Halloween Resurrections. Bad movie. Like I find this idea, I'm gonna be a little angry right now. And this isn't anything against him as a person. It's just this type of opinion bothers me. Because it takes the beauty of what makes art, specifically movies. Like cinema is like the best art form. And it takes what's so great about that, which is that you can basically make anything and you can explore any direction you like. But you're taking that potential and you're squeezing it down to, well, does Michael Myers have enough screen time? Who gives a shit? I mean, he does obviously, but like that's not what makes a good movie. It's like when people say, how can you not like Jason Goes to Hell? It has such great kills. Well, yeah, it does have great kills, but everything else sucks ass. So why should I care? Like, if I just want to watch kills, I can watch a fucking kill count. That's not what a movie is. Like the reason like a torture porn movie is either good or bad isn't the fact that it's torture porn. It's, are you attaching a good story or interesting characters to that torture porn versus a torture porn where it's just like the worst characters. They're all two-dimensional and they all suck and the story sucks and the filmmaking sucks. Suddenly it's not good anymore. Torture porn as a genre or a subgenre, I guess, isn't bad. It's how it's utilized. And the same goes for slasher movies, any type of horror movie. Like the reason I'm not huge on Terrifier, again, I think Terrifier is good. I'm not huge on it, is I feel like it's more about the kills than it is about anything else. And kind of, being in love with its killer. And I could rewatch it now and I could have a totally different opinion. I don't know. I've seen it once. But, the reason it is good and not bad is despite it focusing on those things, there is an element, like I do enjoy the central female character. I can't remember her fucking name, but that girl, I liked her a lot, even though I wasn't huge on the character. And I thought that the ending was really audacious and I enjoyed that. If you took those things away and the character was like grating and there wasn't like an audacious ending, like she just like, I'm not going to spoil Terrifier in this video, but like it would probably be a not great film or a bad movie. So I don't like this idea that the screen time for Michael Myers matters is dumb to me. I think it's about the characters. I think it's about the story. I think it's about what you're trying to say to some degree. I don't need a movie to have a message, but if it's a movie where the intention is to produce some sort of message, then I want that message to be well done. And I think in this case, that's very well done. This idea of pushing past trauma, I think is great. I don't need it. And I could definitely use less movies about trauma because there's way too many of those nowadays. But I think that the way it does it is really good. And if you like, the thing is, this trilogy was crafted as a whole. Like the idea was that it kind of works as its own self-contained unit as a sequel to Halloween. Think of it as like a multiverse thing. And this is that multiverse. Like if you don't like this part of the multiverse, that's fine. You have H2O's version. You have the Thorn trilogy version. Maybe it just ends with 2. You have your variations. And this is this part of the multiverse. And this part of the multiverse is a story about trauma. And this film is like an epitaph to what came before. And if you view it as that singular thing, it gives us everything we want as fans, I think. Halloween 2018 is basically just Halloween. And that's great because we basically get, we get one of those soft reboots where it's just a direct sequel that hits the beats and you get exactly what you want out of it. And there's, flaws for people. A lot of people don't like the evil doctor. I get that. But overall, it is just, this is what I expect from a Halloween sequel. Rad. Halloween Kills. It is a gore fest. And the gore is awesome. And if that's all you want, and you can get past the shoddy screenwriting and really hammy acting, then it's rad. Awesome. So you have that kill fest. You have the basic Halloween movie. You have the Michael Myers just fucking going ham on people. Great. And then Halloween Ends is the one that kind of just does its own thing and explores a different part of the universe. Universe is a strong word, but try something different, like Halloween 3, and focuses on the ramifications of what happened. You know, this is a bit shitty to say, but it's like the thinking man's Halloween, where it's like, you know, and that's overselling it, I know, but you know, it's a different type of Halloween movie. So you have 3 variations, with the first one being like a perfect capper, like you could just end there and be fine. And then you have these other 2 that give to the I want kills crowd and to the I want something different crowd. I think that's cool. And again, it's okay if you don't like it, but this idea that no Michael screen time, it bad, that's dumb. That's silly. Like, come on. If you don't think that the story works, fine. If you don't think the themes are explored well, fine. If you, if you don't like Rohan, whatever the fuck his name is acting, fine. But this idea that, you know, oh, we need it's got barely any Michael. So the fuck what? He's a constant presence throughout the entire film. Who gives it? Like, he's there. Like, he's the reason all of this happens. Like, it's a really smart idea for a Halloween movie. Again, mileage may vary on how they actually accomplish that. Like, totally get that. I totally understand people not liking this movie because they don't think it works on a screenwriting level. They think that the characters are boring, whatever. Fine. But barely any Michael is not a criticism. Sorry, it just isn't. That's like saying Friday the 13th is a bad movie because it doesn't have enough Jason. Like, come on. Commits multiple cardinal sins to the character and lore. I can't name one. I honestly don't know what this means. It doesn't commit a single cardinal sin to the character or the lore. Like, unless, like, you would have to hate Halloween 2018 for that to make sense. Because the only thing I can think of is that it just tosses the continuity out, which, good. So I don't know what the fuck that means. Also, like, fine as a movie, terrible for Michael. Again, like, fuck Michael Myers. He's an old man. Suck my dick. Let's see here. And, like, you know, the lack of Michael for a film marketed as the final showdown between him and Laurie was pretty disappointing. I complete 180 for me. I was so worried that would be the plot of the film. Like, I went in, like, I was mad at myself for not getting high before watching it because I was convinced it was going to be that movie and I was going to be bored out of my fucking mind. Because we've had that movie. We had H2O. Done. Cool. A movie that I don't particularly like, but cool. And we also had that in Halloween 2018. Like, you have your big confrontation. She wins. Like, even though he survives in Halloween Kills, Laurie wins. Her family wins against Michael Myers. Like, the only reason he survives is those firefighters. So for all intents and purposes, it's over right then and there. I talked about this. This is also a silly criticism in my brain. Let's see here. I'm almost done. I know.
Can you come say goodnight?
I'm almost done. You know, someone pointed out he lived in the sewer between 4 and 5, which, yeah, what's the big deal? It is interesting how it kind of takes elements of the previous films and, like, integrates them. She does drop off the wrong head in H2O, but that's again one of those things where it's like you just ignore 8. I keep forgetting which number is which. You just ignore Resurrections because it's stupid. Like, it's one of those things, like, you know, you just have to ignore certain movies because franchises are like that. You know, I'm a James Bond fan. There's certain James Bond movies I kind of just have to ignore because they're fucking stupid. You know, I don't like Diamonds Are Forever. I just kind of ignore it. Of course, that one's less, it hinges less on continuity, obviously, but, like, there's certain things you just kind of say, like Blofeld being killed at the start of For Your Eyes Only. I just ignore that happening. Like, that's a dream sequence for all I care. Like, that's just, it's because it's dumb. But it makes a good point that, you know, this is a franchise that has so many daft fucking decisions in trying to keep it going, because it doesn't really make sense to keep it going. Like, it doesn't work as a franchise if you're just going to keep doing the thing again and again. So, you know, it's that thing where you just kind of have to ignore certain movies, because inevitably there's dumb shit that happens. Exactly. I think that's great. Like, I thought seeing Michael at his lowest and killing just to survive was interesting. He was just a dying man in this one. Exactly. Just like this franchise. Like, again, you can bring some meta shit into this if you want. This is a dying franchise. And this is basically David Gordon Green going, I'm going to cap this bitch and put her out of her misery because this is ridiculous. And giving a happy ending to our character. I don't love that her daughter dies, but yeah, what are you going to do? Also, again, don't like Halloween Kills. It is ridiculous. I know you hated this movie, Kevin, but yeah, it is ridiculous to complain about Halloween lore because it's a messy bullshit franchise. Dude was eating dogs in the first movie. Thank you, Kevin. What did people want? I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. Let's see here. I think. Oh, I thought you hated it for some reason. Okay, never mind. Either which way. I think that's going to be it because my wife is wanting me to actually do this 1 hour. Oh, you didn't, but it was fine. Okay, fair enough. I knew that you didn't like it as much. I knew that you were not a huge fan of it. So yeah, I find a lot of these kind of like they're just silly. They're just silly complaints in my mind. But that's me coming to it as someone who thinks that you should criticize movies based on what they are trying to do, not what you expect them to do. You know, like going back, Jason Goes to Hell. I think that you could take that basic premise and make a good movie, and even a good Friday the 13th movie, whatever that means. I just don't think it's done well. I think it's a poorly made movie, and that ties into why I don't like it. And similarly, I think this is a really well done, albeit flawed, attempt at what they're trying, which is to explore this, you know, trauma theme and to, you know, show this again sort of epitaph for the franchise and how the trauma pervades. And I didn't mention it, but the the way it's like an infection, which is I think a COVID thing. I think that's a COVID like nod. And the way it kind of like turns us against each other, like that's such a good idea. And people are just like, there's not enough Michael Myers in it. Like, that's silly. Again, if you have other complaints, totally understandable. I totally get that. But if your only big criticism, the thing that ruins it for you is there's not enough Michael Myers in it, I'm sorry, that's silly. That's a silly complaint to have. And like, yeah, and like the mayor, like you think the entire trilogy is poorly done. That's totally fair. I see those problems, and I can understand, since we're all human beings with subjectivity, that fucking subjectivity. I can see those problems being enough to ruin it for people. I totally get that. But I think you all understand where I'm coming from. It's dumb to complain about a lack of Michael Myers in the 13th entry in this dumb franchise. So anyway, he has a cameo in Bones and All. Sick. I gotta go because my wife will kill me if I keep streaming, because I did say this is going to be 1 hour, and like all of my streams, it has gone over by 30 minutes. I would like, yeah. I am excited. I'm excited for where he goes with his career. Anyway, I gotta go. This cannot keep happening. I'm really glad this worked. I was not sure about just like talking things through like this. But you guys gave me some great chats to prompt me, and I really enjoyed talking about it with you guys. And maybe I'll have a guest on next time. Who knows? But next time I watch, I don't know. I'll do this again soon, is my point. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go before I get a divorce. And until next time, guys, go watch a movie.